commitment to ensure residents' safety and well-being. I'd lastly like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that the annual Interfaith Walk is taking place on September the 8th, which is an opportunity for us all to come together again, and one I am very much looking forward to attending. And it would be really wonderful if lots of you could come with us on that. So thank you very much. It's been a real privilege coming today. Thank you very much.
Can you close? We've got some space. Just come a bit closer, please. Just want to thank the police as well. There are a few police here, but the police in, defending and protecting various communities, not just in the number of Lewisham, but across the UK. They put in a lot of good work. Just want to remind our youngsters, sometimes the youngsters get agitated. They want to defend the communities. They, feel passionate. It's important to remember and realize that is the work of the police. Yeah, that is the work of the police. The police need to do their work. So please keep that in mind, and we don't want to be, especially as Muslims, whether it's thuggery or rioting or looting, we have this term haram. It's impermissible. Yeah, it's impermissible for us to be involved in anything which displeases God Almighty, anything which is impermissible and so on. We have a number of youngsters in our community, and we see Muhammad and then Dawood reciting, but I want to ask Layla Bari to say a few words about Islam and the mosque. So Layla Bari, can you come to the front, please? Stand up.
Okay. I can move it. Assalamu alaikum, dear Lewisham community. My name is Layla. I'm a student of the Lewisham Islamic Institute here at LIC and have been for almost 10 years. Today I'll be speaking about what Islam and the mosque teaches the youth. Alhamdulillah, there are numerous teachings and beliefs on this topic, but I'm just going to touch on a few of them today. A key value we are taught as Muslims is the good treatment of our parents. We are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to love and respect our parents, to honour their opinions and to treat them with kindness and gentleness. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "And your Lord has decreed that you worship none but Him, and that you are dutiful to your parents. If one or both of them attain old age in life, say not to them a word of disrespect, nor shout at them, but address them in terms of honour. And lower unto them the wings of submission and humility through mercy, and say, My Lord, bestow on them your mercy as they did bring me up when I was young." Another example is in a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I asked the Prophet, which deed is most liked by Allah? He said, prayers offered on time. I asked him, then what? Kindness and respect towards parents. In Islam, we are also taught the importance of being good to the elderly and our neighbours. In Islam, the right of the neighbour is significant as it is linked with Iman, which is faith in Allah and the last day. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever believes in Allah and the last day should honour his neighbour. With regards to the elderly, the Prophet ﷺ said, consider respecting our elders as a sign of reverence for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a hadith, he ﷺ said, he is not one of us who does not respect our elders. This emphasizes the importance of the elderly and how we must treat them. Finally, I want to mention how the mosque encourages us to excel in our education. Seeking knowledge is highly regarded in Islam. In the Quran it is said, Allah will raise and rank those of you who have faith and those who have been given knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ said, one who proceeds on a path in pursuit of knowledge, God makes him proceed there a path to the garden, Jannah. These verses illustrate that education and seeking knowledge are not only commendable, but also a means of elevating one's status in the eyes of Allah and attaining Jannah. We are taught from an early age that seeking knowledge is one of the most noble ways of spending our time. By developing critical workings, enhancing creativity and expanding our perspectives on the world. This not only benefits us as individuals, but also allows us to make a positive impact in society, inshallah. Thank you for listening to me speak today. May Allah continue to keep our community safe
Ameen.
And united
Ameen.
And protect us from those that wish to divide us. Ameen.
Ameen.
My brother Stephen Dean. A few words from Stephen Dean, member of our community. He's actually the chairman of our Lewisham Islamic Centre Football Club. We have 3 teams in the local league, in the Kent League. He's the chairperson for that. So a few words from our brother Steve.
So obviously I'm not prepared. I wasn't ready for this. There's a lot of people out there that want to divide us, and it is for us to not let them come between us, not to let them cause us to lower ourselves to their level. I am a recent revert. I wasn't born a Muslim, as you could probably tell with the tattoos and everything else. But if it was first my brother to become a Muslim into Lewisham, and then my mum, and then my other brother, and then my 15-year-old son, who was 14 at the time, my 14-year-old son reverted to Islam. I started coming to the mosque to him and immediately become welcomed to the mosque, seeing the brotherhood of Lewisham itself coming into there, seeing that how diverse the mosque is. There is no black or white, brown or anything else. It's brother next to brother, sister next to sister. Everyone is rich next to poor. There is no lines. Everyone is shoulder to shoulder, praying to the same one and only God. And it's just the greatest feeling you can ever have walking into there. Again, like I said, I've taken on the football team. We play football on the Sundays, and we play in Sunday League football. Most of the teams we play against are pub football teams. So they're a little bit, some can be a little bit aggressive. But you tend to find when they're playing against us and playing against my boys, they sort of mirror our behaviour and our conduct. So there is not so much of the abuse and the fighting and the aggressiveness. Although it's still very competitive, don't get me wrong, but it's not your typical Sunday League pub football match that you tend to see or glamorise what you might see on Instagram or something like that. Sunday football hacks, which again is credit to how Lewisham is as a whole in the mosque, as the community, as everything else. I'm born and raised from here, by the way. I've lived born and raised in Downham, just down the road. So I've grown up through the 80s and 90s and seeing how all this area has changed for the better, may I say. You know, gone through it all. I don't know to say for that, guys, but listen, stay strong, stay together, and keep the faith. That's all I can say.
Amen.
Okay, we got our local Lewisham legend. Yeah, grew up in the borough, went to St. Joseph's Academy School. Now I think it's at St. Matthew's Academy. But Vic, our brother Vic, member of our community, yeah, he spoke at the clock tower on Wednesday. So a few words from our brother Vic.
Am I that short? Hey, only the Imam can make you do this, you know. Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see everyone come here today. This week, I don't know how the week's been for everyone else, but for me, I've dealt with like a lot of different people who've been anxious for different reasons. Every day my mom's messaging me like, be careful when you go out, be careful what you're doing, and seeing the anxiety of people, that really bothered me, and I see that it really bothered a lot of people. So a couple of days ago at the clock tower, seeing the community come together, seeing how, and being able to display the multiculturalism that is in Lewisham, that's something I've always been proud of. That's why when we get like rhetoric and messages from the far right, it's very confusing, because also when you look in the media, there is this like, you know, like presentation of that they've got a strong presence. Let me break it down to you, that's not the case. So let me just run through some statistics for you, right? Now, one of the things I try to do when somebody is saying something that don't make sense, I try to look at it from their point of view. Let me see if you've got a point, right? The far right, they talk about, you know, having their jobs taken and having people take over their country. So if you look at the percentages of the UK, 82% is white. and 18% is other ethnic minorities. Out of that, immigrants only make up 0.05%. So the maths is not making sense what you're saying. So what you're doing is using an excuse or trying to create a reason to create a divide and to like confuse people and to manipulate people to believe that there's this divide and we're supposed to be against each other, and that's clearly not the case. And in places like Lewisham, you see the representation even here today. Like there's many different people, and that's what Lewisham is. Whether, no matter what faith you are, no matter what religion you are. I grew up in Lewisham my whole life. I'm from Brockley. I went to school in Blackheath and I went to Lewisham College, and the whole time I grew up in Lewisham, not once have I experienced any divide from a neighbour because of what ethnicity was or any religion he was. And it didn't happen then, and my thing is it's definitely not going to happen now. So I just want to thank everyone for showing up and standing up and representing, because together we are stronger, and the unity is helping everybody deal with the anxiety. I know for sure it's helping me deal with mine, seeing everybody together and seeing everybody willing to come together. So I just want to thank everyone. Keep doing what you're doing, keep looking after each other, and let's keep like showing people that as human beings we're all one, and we're not going to let nobody divide us. Thank you.
The community is united, the borough is united. This is nothing against any in terms of ethnicity and shame. They're trying to bring, they want to bring a rhetoric of it's whites against non-whites. Not the case. Yeah, it's all kind of like one community, united. Likewise, as Vic said, you know, we have supporters from the faith communities, different faith communities in the London Borough of Lewisham, all united. Different faith leaders from churches to the synagogue and others, all together in the London Borough of Lewisham. We have a good friend of ours, Harold Wilson. Harold has been part of Stand Up to Racism for many, many years, a strong supporter of the mosque and a close friend of mine. Brother Harold Wilson, a few words from you, please. Takbir.
Steady.
Assalamu alaikum. This is unsteady, this. He's trying to trick me. Okay, it's an honour to be here and to be invited by Imam Shakil, who, as he said, I've known for quite a number of years now. We've been through a lot in Lewisham. You know, it's not the wealthiest borough, you know, and in places it's not the prettiest, but, and there's a big but, you know, we've got each other. And that's the thing that draws people to this particular part of London. It's known, it's got a history for being intolerant against intolerance. And as long as we've got each other, that's something that the far right, that government, that individuals, you know, politicians on the make, that's something that they can't use against us. As Vic, the previous speaker, said, on Wednesday in particular in Borough, I just for those of you who don't know, which is probably most of you, I work on the market. I'm an inspector on the Lewisham market. And we closed the market early on Wednesday. There was a lot of tension, you know, a lot of people, a lot of rumours, people anxious. One of the rumours, believe it or not, was that, because the market closed at 2 while the traders were packing down, one of the rumours was that the English Defence League had rolled up outside Lewisham Hospital, so literally across the road there, and that they laid siege to the hospital, and that one of the women who worked on the market, her auntie, was in there in the hospital and she couldn't get out. It just sounded incomplete. It didn't sound right. I know the English Defence League are the horrible, nasty, they no longer exist, but the people who follow them, horrible, nasty. So anyway, I decided to leave the market. I got on a bus, 54 bus, 2-3 stops later, across the road, there was nothing. There was no English Defence League, there was no hordes of people trying to do us harm, there was nothing. I went back to the market cleared up at 7 o'clock, you know, we had the Unity Vigil. And as Vic has alluded to, the following day, and in fact immediately after we'd held the unity, people just felt relieved. You know, it gave people a sense that, you know, certainly the far right didn't turn up. They'd be foolish to anyway, Lewisham. But we had each other, you know, and again, as Vic said, we have more in common than divides us. The other thing, again, just a little story, again from the market. 2 weeks ago, wasn't a trader, but an assistant working on one of the stalls, gave someone who was shopping at the stall, the most incredible abuse. Labelled them an effing Muslim terrorist. And I was walking by and I just stopped. I didn't actually hear that bit, but I heard a swear. And anyway, to cut a long story short, I intervened and I asked the person who he was directed at, I said, look, if you want to take this further, we can. And he in particular said, no, I'm going to let Allah deal with that woman. But there were other people who actually heard it and wanted to take it further and did, and they reported it. You know, and I'm pleased to say 2 weeks on, that particular person is no longer in the market and will never ever be allowed to work in the market. So I just encourage you all, wherever you see discrimination, Islamophobia, any discrimination of any form, stand up to it, don't walk by, you know, call it out. Because, like I said, this is not, you know, the richest borough, but it's rich in terms of solidarity, unity. You know, the sort of work that Imam Shakil encourages, interfaith. You know, we are rich in that regard. I mean, and long may it continue. So I just say, you know, I'm sending, you know, greetings, solidarity and peace from Lewisham Stand Up to Racism, and like I said, it's just an honour to be with you here today. So thank you.
We have Father Steve Hall. Father Steve is the head priest of the oldest church in the London Borough of Lewisham, St Mary's Church. A few words from Father Steve.
Thank you. The thing about putting people up on a pedestal is that it's not long before they fall. So keep your eyes open. Thank you to Imam Shakil and colleagues here for organising this event and bringing us all together. I really only want to say two things. One is that I want us all to remember those three girls, Bibi, Elsie and Alice, who died those days ago. It's so easy to forget that in everything that's happened since then. So we remember them, we remember their parents in their shock and their grief, and their families and friends and that community. And we stand with them in love and friendship. So let's remember them in our thoughts and prayers. And the second thing is simply, I don't want to give too much time or energy to those racists and criminals and thugs who have tried to cause so much division since then. I want to celebrate and give thanks for all that we share here in this community and across the country. I want to give thanks for everyone who has stood together side by side to condemn that violence and that racism. The groups here, the groups in towns and cities all across our country. If there's something good that can come out of this, it's what we've seen when people have the courage to stand up and stand together, then they are stronger than those forces of hatred and division. So I celebrate and give thanks for our community here in Lewisham, for our diversity, for the mix of beliefs and views, and yet we stand together. And in the 12 years that I've lived here, that's been true, and I know it will be true in the years to come. We will always work together and stand together for those values that we believe in, of respect and peace and justice and honour and welcome for everyone who lives and comes to Lewisham. Thank you.
Councillor Howe and then Councillor Liam to say a few words. Councillor Howe, please, if you can come to the front. Councillor Liam, afterwards, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you so much, Imam Shakil, for calling this rally today, and thank you to everyone for being here. It's so important that we keep centres, mosques open at this time. I was just reading the statement from Action for Refugees in Lewisham. They were saying there's many ways to resist. In times like this, it's really important that we keep these centres open, we keep volunteering, because I'm sure all of you have heard rumours of all mosques, all immigration services, all kind of places where, hotels as well, we've seen it. People have been saying that these places will be under attack. So it's really important that we hold together and we keep these places going, because light and hope persists when we not only through going to Crawley and Walthamstow, but light and hope persists through quiet rebellion, like keeping our services open and ensuring that we protect them and each other as much as possible. I've just been thinking a lot about the 80s and 90s, talking to people who were active in Lewisham and Greenwich during those times, reading books and articles of activism during those times, and just thinking that really needs to be resuscitated. Work needs to be going on to do that, and this is obviously part of that work, the work that these different groups are doing here. That's really, really important. So everyone here, like if you're not part of your local anti-raids group, please join that. If you're not part of your local cop watch groups, please join that. The services that are open, we often actually rely on volunteers. We rely on we're understaffed as it is, so please do kind of turn up to support those places. And I think keep reading. I think knowledge is power. It's really important to be speaking with activists. Like, I was speaking to someone who was in Birmingham, who was a child at that time, was telling me about the Sari squads, people who, like older women who were kicking back against the fascists, because that's absolutely what we need to be doing. It's not only about kind of going on social media and sharing, but being present in person, and making sure that we defend our communities. And yeah, we will have to go there, because people are, like the father mentioned, 3 children, and we've seen the scenes of those hotels being attacked. We need to be ready. So I've started Muay Thai training, and I think that's the kind of mindset that we need to be building as well, like emotional resilience, but also physical strength to defend and love each other better. So, solidarity, everyone here, and we have to keep fighting. That's the only thing we can do in these times.
Allahu Akbar. I'd like to thank the council, the mayor, the deputy mayor Louis Chicane. The mayor emailed us for her support, and again the police as well has been, visiting the mosque to show the support and solidarity. Councillor Liam, few words from you, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you, Imam Shakil, and thanks everyone for coming here today. I just want to say, first of all, solidarity to all our Muslim brothers and sisters, solidarity to all of our marginalised and racialised people in our communities that are feeling very anxious, understandably, at this time, as people have already mentioned. The other thing I want to pick up is something that somebody said earlier about there is only one race, the human race. That is absolutely right. There are many, many ethnicities, right, that make up this borough and that make up the world. But race is a social construct, and it's actually a relatively recent invention in human history. And as well as race came the invention of racism, right, which is a way to divide, to marginalize, to subjugate, right? And another thing to say about racism is that racism primarily is an elite project. Okay, so I know there are some very, very nasty people that are feeling quite emboldened, although maybe they're slightly less emboldened after what happened on Wednesday and after what we've seen from many sort of anti-racists and anti-fascists across the country. But why do they feel emboldened? Why do they feel legitimized? It's because there's people at the top that are legitimating this type of politics, right? So when they're saying, stop the boats, or when they're saying, get rid of the illegals, or when they're saying, stop the invasion, who said it first? It came from the mouth of the Home Secretary, or it came from the mouth of Nigel Farage, and it's been happening for years and years and years. So, I want to appeal to the political class, to the media class, stop legitimizing racism and fascism, okay? And we obviously need to call that out. And that's incumbent on each and every one of us, right? Unfortunately, the reason why they use this is because it's convenient, right? That they can point to immigrants as a reason for these falling living standards that we're seeing, when we have been living through over 15 years of austerity and people are still experiencing the ill effects of this decline in living standards, right? So we need to push back. And what do we have with a place like Lewisham Islamic Centre and Imam Shakil and all the people that are involved in the mosque? These are people that feed people that need feeding, right? These are people that do all sorts of important community events. These people are not the enemy, okay? And the enemy does not arrive by boat, it arrives by private jet, right? So, thank you everyone. Please, the last thing I want to say, as Councillor Tam was saying, please look out for one another, especially obviously people that are most at risk. Check in on them, make sure that everyone's okay, and solidarity. Thanks so much.
We have a special guest from the Buddhist community. She actually gave us a card which I requested her to read and maybe say a few words.
Hi, I was just going to come along and, all right. I didn't know that I was going to be giving a speech, I was just going to hand over a card. But yeah, I'm a Buddhist and my friend Tom's with me as well. I live in Lewisham and we're part of the Zen Buddhist tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a peace activist against the Vietnam War. And we're engaged Buddhists. What that means is it's not just about achieving peace within on the cushion. It's about sending peace out into the world and challenging ourselves to do more, to embody those values. So a lot in common with what I've heard from the readings with Islam today. And we were all incredibly upset and concerned and didn't know what to do. And one of our members lives in Newcastle, where they were severely affected up north, and he went to the Sunderland Mosque and handed over a little card, and I thought, I'll do the same here, and my friend Tom's come along to support as well. So yeah, I'm really honoured to be able to be here and show my support for the first time, because all my life I've supported and believed in diversity and compassion and love and peace, but I haven't actually ever had to kind of visibly show it before. It's kind of been assumed, you know. And the horrible events of the last week have kind of forced me out of my comfort zone a little, and just thought, I want to make this more obvious, I want to make this more visible. And in our tradition we have this concept of no mud, no lotus. You don't have the flower without the mud that the flower grows in, and I feel like what's been happening is the mud, and we are the lotus, and we have to keep this solidarity, this visible solidarity and support, and that's a really beautiful thing. So, yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if Tom wants to say a few words from Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah, thank you for having us here. And our teacher Thich Nhat Hanh has a beautiful saying, which is peace in oneself, peace in the world. And what he means is if we can transform inside ourselves the roots of anger, the roots of fear, the roots of intolerance, the roots of violence, then we can transform that and bring that into the world as peace. And this is really an opportunity for us all to practice with this work to do that in ourselves and to see that we are all humans. It doesn't matter what color our skin is, it doesn't matter what religion we have, what background we have, that we can all live together in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will be concluding very shortly. We have got some refreshments, so please stay behind. We've got just a few more speakers to say a few words. Brother Abdul Latif, he's one of our youth leaders, does a lot of youth work in our community amongst youngsters. A few words from Abdul Latif, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I want to just say I'm greatly humbled to see so many people come out, show their support and their love. That's the first thing I want to say. Never seen so many people come out that's non-Muslim for the Muslim cause, so I appreciate all the people coming out. Secondly, we're meant to be here for a protest, so I don't know what we're protesting about, so I want to bring something. So we're here for unity, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So let's stand for that. What do we stand for?
Unity.
What are we against?
Racism.
That's it. There's a little bit of protest happening. And to bring it down to the reality of what's happening today, I want to tell a little quick story. And I came here 1998 from Somalia at the age of 8 years old. And when I was back home, I never saw any white person. I'm being honest. Never seen a white person in my life. From not seeing white people to come into a country where all white people, I can kind of see the ignorance of somebody's racist. Because it starts with ignorance. And when I first came here and I saw white people, I was scared of them. I didn't understand them, I didn't understand their logic, I didn't understand how they live their life. And so that fear, I can understand how it turns in some of their ignorance activities. And so when you see racist, it should start from a level of understanding this person doing this act is an ignorant person. It's not an intellectual act to beat someone up or to chase someone down due to their color. It will be the same as if a short person done a crime, we start looking for short people. It doesn't make any logical sense. And so racism in essence is an illogical act. And so my first thing when I see racism is ignorance. Secondly, how to solve the problem, following from my story. When I went to school, I never spoke no English. And my teacher till today, I remember her name, Rachel Bowie. A white lady. I don't know how old she is, I wish to see her again one day. But she taught me English. She taught me how to understand it. She gave me many books till today. I love reading. So how do you solve the problem of racism? Teach people. Knowledge. These ignorant people, teach them with kindness first. If they don't understand that, then force has to be there, out of defense, of course. And that's why I'm with the sister about the Muay Thai stuff. Yeah? People need to learn how to defend themselves. There's no point of just being emotionally, yes, we're standing for each other, but we don't know how to physically stand up to someone like that. Because a lot of these men and some of these women, they're using aggressive tones towards you because they think you can't defend yourself. But if you learn to defend yourself with your tongue, with your heart, and with your hands, soon, rather than later, this will finish. Jazakumullah khair.
Does somebody know his teacher, Rachel? Somebody, I think I heard somebody say something.
I heard it was over here somewhere. Yes.
Were you the teacher?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Was it?
Know her?
Rachel, like Julia Hope.
Oh, but you...
Julia Hope. Like BBC.
Oh, yes. MashaAllah.
Amazing.
Nice to see you.
Thank you very much, Abdul Latif. Powerful words. Yeah, we've got Richard from Stand Up to Racism to say a few words. Yeah, let's
Hello there. I want to address some of the points and widen some of the points people have mentioned already about the unity and widening the unity. And I've got a message from the disabled community. But before I go on to that, I just want to say something else which relates to it. I love Lewisham. I've lived here 36 years, and this is why I love it. What happened in Wednesday is why I love it, and the mosque is why I love it. The diversity it represents and the world in a nutshell it represents. Shakil has come to all the meetings I've been involved in organising, and that's been, well, I've been doing work in Lewisham for 32 years on this, and it's brilliant. And I have to say, you know, to put a context on it, I am a proud son of a Hungarian refugee and husband of an Irish economic migrant, and my daughter's the daughter of a Serbian love migrant. She came for her first husband here. But we are invisible. You know, I'm one of the invisible migrants. And, you know, coming on to disabled people, I want to raise another thing there. But I think the other thing is, sadly, but not sadly, because I'm just down the road, I've moved to Bromley. Bromley's a beautiful borough. And all I'd say is I hope all of you recognise and remember that we have a great unity here and we have the resources and the people. But the people of Bromley, and there are lots of mosques there, and also neighbouring Greenwich and Bexley also need your support. Just like the people of the north of England have been flocking to cities and towns, we have to make sure we offer support whenever an event is going on there, because it's not far away. And we know, you know, I first got involved around the murder of Stephen Lawrence, Roland Adams and Rohit Dougal, all over in the Elton Way. So just remember you are part of that community. And another way you can act, as well as becoming part of Stand Up to Racism, and there's a WhatsApp group I can share later with people, get involved. It's great we've got Lewisham TUC. They have been part of the anti-racist movement in this borough for decades, since the Battle of Lewisham and before. Join your union, get them to be active and use their resources. It's so vital. But my final message comes, and I have to read it because it comes from Paula Peters. Sorry, I've just got to get it on my phone so it's totally accurate. So Paula Peters is an amazing disabled activist from Bromley. She's in Unite Community Bromley and Croydon branch. You know, if you're retired, which I'm just, you can join Unite Community and get involved in the union movement. It's vital. But she's also part of Disabled People Against the Cuts. And when it comes to the far right, you know, we've been fighting them in Lewisham lots of ways, whether it's National Front marching down Lewisham, whether it's a BNP down in Downham we had, whether it's the attempt to attack the mosque about 6 years ago when we mobilised more than this even, whether it's a year ago, remember, when the far right, the same bunch were coming down to Honour Oak Park, the end of my road, to attack the drag, gay, LGBTQ community, and we mobilised, we out-mobilised them. But remember, there's another community there who have to be involved and have to be engaged with and have to be invited to disabled community. They are visible and they are attacked by the same far right. They are physically assaulted and insulted. You know, it's all part of the dividing of the working class. You know, you're scroungers, you're not genuinely disabled, all this rubbish. So the message from Paula Peters. Hello everyone, this is Paula Peters from Disabled People Against Cuts, Chair of the Bromley and Croydon Unite Community Branch and Equalities Officer of Bromley Trades Council. Disabled people know only too well what it's like to be marginalised, discriminated against and oppressed. Constantly demonised on the mainstream media, which has seen hate crimes towards disabled people rise by over 50% in the last 4 years alone. We stand, sit and roll with black, brown, Asian, Muslim, Gypsy, Roma and traveller communities that we are stronger together. We must never let fascism win, and we must be united against those who wish to divide us. Solidarity to all. So please, join your local union, join Stand Up to Racism, and carry on doing this and build on this. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Richard.
Hi everybody. My dad came here in the 50s. They say that the Windrush came in the 60s. My dad was here in the 50s. My uncles come in this country in the 18th century You can look up my name and it's there on the archive. And I've endured racial hatred. When my dad came over, he had his university money. He bought 2 houses in Ladbroke Road because they said that no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. My dad put up all the West Indians that come in the 60s. They tried to burn us out. They tried, within the riots, they tried to burn us out and everything. My dad thought he was going to take us to safety, so he heard there was a big African community in Balham. He took us to Balham. They was all after my mum. She's Irish, by the way. She was fighting the Irish thing as well. They was after my mum, so they took us to Wimbledon thinking it's safe because it's, you know, posh area. We was attacked there daily. Daily. I was younger than that girl, younger than this boy, running from these races every day. Every day. And now, when we moved to Catford, they tried to come into Catford and do what they're trying to do now. We had to fight them. So all I'm saying is that it just doesn't start from the thing, it started long ago. And you know, just everyone stick together and make sure that's what we did in the 80s, 70s. We made sure they could get through it. I've got to go.
Thank you very much. Imam Ashraf, a colleague of mine, Imam Lewisham Islamic Center, a few words from Imam Ashraf.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Just a few points to touch upon that which has been mentioned, and a message to my community before the larger community. My community being the Muslim community, a community within a community. I would like to put a point across that we are not victims, and we should not see ourselves as victims, and we should not adopt this victim mindset and this victim mentality. Because as soon as we see ourselves as victims, then we've already lost. We are not victims, nor will we allow ourselves to be victims. And it's very important that when we enter into an arena, we see ourselves as educators and winners before we even step into the arena that we are stepping into. And so when we come across these individuals, as Abdul Latif mentioned, we have to see them as ignorant. And we have to see them as individuals that require education. And education is not only via our words, but education is also via our actions. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he was the best of examples. He extended his hand in kindness to those who put their hand out against him in aggression. And that is our way. It's not to say though that if someone is aggressive towards us, we are going to turn the other cheek. No, we're not going to turn the other cheek. As I said, we're not victims. But we extend our hand to educate and to offer the opportunity for discussion. That's the first point. The second point is, as has been mentioned by a few speakers, we have to try to understand to use the term other side. Those individuals that are rioting and acting aggressively and viciously, where is it coming from? Anger is often a mask for other emotions, especially with men. And so there is going to be their frustration, there is going to be their grief. And if you look at the climate in the UK over the last, as has been mentioned, 15 years, let's extend it further. It's been on a steady decline. Whether it's the housing situation, whether it's the inflation that we've been facing, whether it's the policing of our communities or the lack of policing in some instances. We have to try to understand where this is all coming from, and then you're going to have individuals that are going to play the blame game. It's the colored people, it's the brown people, it's the Muslim people, it's the immigrant people, these are manipulative games. And those who follow these manipulative games, they are victims just as those who are recipients of aggression are victims in this particular issue. Why? Because the game is to control and to divide. And so we don't fall into the trap. We don't fall into the trap. And we have to call out the real oppression, which is the oppression of those who have the ability to make change and they're not making change. Individuals up north, for example, it's well known that the communities up north have been cut off and have been left to rot for a long time. Communities up north. And as Imam Shakir mentioned on Wednesday, as Muslims, we stand against things such as grooming gangs, we stand against drug dealers, we stand against those who sell alcohol, we stand against those who dibble and dabble in corruption, even if they're from our own. In fact, when they are from our own, we look at them with an eye of disdain worse than when we look at others. Why? Because they know better. And so we have to understand this situation as educated individuals. And from the Muslim perspective, we have a framework of education God-given. Therefore, for us, it's easy to tell the difference between right and wrong. But for a young person who's grown up in a society that has become corrupted, morality has slowly disappeared, right and wrong is no longer clear, how do you expect him to tell the difference between right and wrong? And that's where we come in and we educate. And so we extend our hand to those individuals to come and sit down and to talk. To sit down and to discuss. We will listen to your problems and we will offer our solution. And in the words of Malcolm X, the solution to the racist problem in America was Islam, therefore the solution to the division in the UK is Islam. That's the solution. It's a framework God given, the final message of the final prophet that was sent by God to make clear right from wrong and to get rid of all oppression and all division. As the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, there is no virtue for the Arab over the non-Arab, or the non-Arab over the Arab, or the white over the black, or the black over the white. Every person is from Adam and Adam is from the earth. That's it. Assalamu alaikum.
I know you do want to say a few words. Our understanding with the police was up to 3 p.m. I've got 3 more people I want to ask them to say a few words. Then please do apologize if anybody else doesn't get a chance. I think, sister, auntie, did auntie want to say a few words? No, I don't want to be dragged forward, so I can request everyone to just be a bit short because we've got a few minutes left.
Hate won't win. Hate won't win. Hate won't win. You say hate won't win. Remember the battle for Lewisham, the battle for our mosques, the battle for our souls. I listened to what that sister said over there because I remember in the 80s so many things, but a day when I was walking up in the night and about 5 men jumped me in a car. And luckily in those days, I always wore bright lipstick. Now it's muted. So when they turned around, they said, oh, it's only a bird. So we don't want to go back to these days. In fact, I don't even want to go back to the days more recently in the last 5-10 years where even I lost my job, a good job through racism, sexism directly. So we have to be here in unity, knowing that not only hate won't win, but touch one, touch all. Touch one, touch all. And finally, we are black people. Please don't use the word coloured. Blessed love.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm just going to keep this brief. First of all, I'm just going to echo what the brothers have said. I think it's a beautiful turnout. The diversity that Lewisham has. I actually live in Streatham and I come every week to Lewisham. This is where I took my Shahada. And it's a very special place. Anyone that usually comes to the masjid knows that, you know, the stuff that Imam Shakir does is life-changing. Like, I literally have changed my life since I've become Muslim. And Imam Shakir has provided all the support, all the resources. You know, I've learned Arabic through Imam Shakir in our lessons and stuff like that. Everything has just been facilitated, and it's the brotherhood and the community that has given me more motivation to actually better myself, where before I was a bit more, I'm a revert, so I was a bit more ignorant towards Islam myself, you know. And just like my brother Abdul Latif said, it's that ignorance that will then cause you to have, you know, certain viewpoints about people who you don't understand. So just to echo the part about, you know, education is very important. And you know, I'm also married to a Pakistani lady, and sometimes there's a taboo about these sorts of situations. At the end of the day, if you have people that have a common goal, then you know, who's to say that they can't be upon something that is shared. Do you understand? And even though we're Muslim, we have non-Muslims in the crowd, we all have a shared common goal, and it's a beautiful thing, and we stand stronger than anyone that is in opposition to that.
Allah.
All right? Takbir.
Allah Akbar.
Thank you.
Green Party, a few short words, please. I know you've got something written there, but if I can request you to maybe summarize it.
I will.
Thank you.
That's okay. A little bit scary. Thank you for squeezing me in at the last minute. I'm John Caton from Lewisham Green Party. I am speaking in personal capacity, I should say. Can you hear me? Hi, I'm John Caton from Lewisham Green Party. I'm speaking in a personal capacity, I should say. And it's great to see such a large number of Lewisham residents are here to say yes to community and no to hatred, racism and division. I was here, or a little down the road, at what became known as the Battle of Lewisham in 1977, if I've got the date right, when the people of Lewisham stood together against the National Front. It's very sad that we have had to do so again this week, over 30 years later. But we have, and we all will continue to do so if we need to. Tolerance, community, diversity. These are the guiding lights of the ordinary people of Lewisham, of London and of the UK today. And we will stand up and be counted. The Green Party is a political party. We're a secular political party. We stand foursquare for the values that I just mentioned. We now have 4 Green MPs in Parliament, and we'll be working with the 4 independents, who you may well know well about, together to argue for a more equal society, both in the UK and across the world. We condemn wholeheartedly the drip, drip, drip of the racism of the past decade and more. The dog whistles have turned into absolutely upfront lies, which then get spread by many newspapers, broadcasters, and social media. The Tories and those further to the right are the source. But Labour has failed in its duty to challenge. I have many friends in the Labour Party, and there are many very honourable people who are representatives of the Labour Party. So when I say the Labour Party, I mean the current leadership of the Labour Party. Let me be quite clear about that. The Labour Party says that sending asylum seekers to Rwanda is a waste of money, not that it is despicable and wrong in principle.
Mr. Cage, we need to bring it to...
Yeah, I just want to say one final thing, which is that the Green Party is the one party that has consistently argued against what is happening in Gaza. And there is a link, because if Muslims are mistreated here and Islamophobia goes unchallenged, then it gives a green light to people failing to challenge attacks on Muslim people abroad. I am a 3rd generation immigrant. I'm Jewish. My grandparents all came from the East, fleeing persecution. And I have been saying since October, not in my name.
Assalamu alaikum, people. I know we're on a time limit now, so I'll just go off what people have said. First of all, I grew up in a multicultural household, so racism, I don't even understand it. Obviously, my mum is English, my dad is from the Caribbean. He came here as an immigrant as well. He passed away, may Allah have mercy on his soul. But I just wanted to say that I grew up in Lewisham as well, and obviously going to school in Lee Green. You know, growing up in Lewisham, as Mum Shakil and some other brothers has mentioned, racism, it doesn't exist. We're all one, like Bob Marley said, we're all one, it's one love, stick together, you know, and also equip yourself with the knowledge that you need, because the schools in this country, obviously there's benefits to it, but it's all systematic. So all I would like to say is everybody, you know, stick together, stay unified, and also put your children in self-defense as well. Obviously we don't want to be fighting and etc., but at the same time when push comes to shove, we need to know that we can protect ourselves. But first we protect each other with prayer and love.
Islamic Centre Trustees, Brother Tawfiq. Before he comes on, I just want to thank everybody, thank the community, our councillors, Lewisham Council, the police, and as Father Steve mentioned, let's not forget how it all started, the victims of the Stockport attack. Please remember them, please give condolences to the family, the loved ones. It's something that we as Muslims, we have a concept called rahmah and mercy. So when we see these kind of crimes, it affects our emotions and our heart, and we are hurt. And I want to thank everybody for coming. Our Muslim brothers and sisters, look, we are hosts. So refreshments, let the guests go first, please. Let the guests go. It's going to be on to my right-hand side. So after our chair concludes, please make your way to the right and get some light refreshments. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Before we start, I want to just conduct an experiment quickly. Can all the men raise their hands? Okay. Can I ask you, madam, why didn't you raise your hand? Sorry? No, you're not. I want to take us back to Islamic tradition. The progeny, according to Islam, the progeny of humankind was when God Almighty made Adam from earth. And he asked the angels to bow to him. And they all did, except who we call the Satan. That concept is widely known in Christian tradition. I asked the lady, why didn't she bow down? Why didn't she raise her hand? She says, I'm not a woman. Sorry, I'm in the pardon? I'm in the man. The same thing when God asked Satan, why didn't you bow to Adam? He should have said, I'm not an angel. But he said, I am better than him. Why? Because you made me from fire and him from dust, from clay, from earth. And that is essentially what racism is. The supremacist mindset. I am better than him. Why? Because my skin is a different pigmentation. I mean, how superficial can you get? At the start of this gathering, the brother read in the Quran that Allah in the Quran says that we made humankind from one soul, and from that soul he made you into different tribes and nations. He also says that part of his signs is that you speak different languages and you are of different shades of color. That is a sign. So as a Muslim, I am conditioned, as we all are in one form or another, but I am conditioned that when I see different races, I'm not afraid. I'm not terrified or anxious. My conditioning tells me I am to be intrigued, to be curious, to think that this is a sign of God in his inestimable power, that he can do this. And also in the tradition of Islam, it says that you cannot, in the context of believing in God, that you cannot really be a person who believes in God and does not want for his brother what he wants for himself. The fact that you're all here, not all of you are Muslims, but you're here because you want the same security, the same benefits, the same goodness for those who are like you and who are not like you. That shows me already that you are already one of us. We're all together because we all want the same thing, the best for The stranger I don't know, and the stranger that I do know. Or rather, it can't be a stranger if you know him, I suppose. But you get my gist. It's the fact that we are all one, and we should look at ourselves as one. We're not different. I'm not anxious. I'm not afraid. I'm curious. I'm intrigued, and I want to know. Imam Shakir says after every prayer that even though you're Muslims, do not just go and hang out with a person that looks like you, of the same racial background to you. By all means, go and introduce yourself to one you don't know, the one who looks different from you, the Arab brother with the African brother, the Indian brother with the Aboriginal brother. Go and say hello, get to know each other. This is the spirit of Islam. This is what we stand for. And thank you for coming. It's been, the support is always overwhelming and humbling. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.